Welcome to this webinar about the best practices for exhibitors for SIAL 2025 in Toronto. My name is Ruben and I'm an exhibitor performance coach. That means that I help exhibitors like you who goes to trade shows to develop their businesses like you to learn the methodology that includes the strategies and the techniques to triple their result while at the same time lowering their costs by 20%. So if you're a newcomer to the trade show game or you're already a seasoned player and you want to make your shows more profitable, let's get started. Why learning those best practices is so important in today's world? Well, competition is fierce today. Not only it is fierce, competition is plenty. It's very easy today to set a business, to set like online marketing, and to start to compete, which means that your customers have a lot potentially to choose from. Not only there's new players coming into the market all the time, but you have those large corporations that are owning a big chunk of the market, and they have financial power, human resources that might be difficult to compete with. So if you feel like David against Goliath, you might want to get yourself a slingshot. Before we get to the slingshot, where can you face this Goliath and have a chance to beat him? Well, those places are called trade shows. Now, why is so? Because as you can see on the floor, you can either be a large corporation or a small one. You're all at the same level, competing for the attention of the same potential clients. Well, another way to look at it will be like a sports competition. If you think about it, a trade show as nothing more than a sales competition. Now, if you take a look at the red helmet in the back, would ask you, is he good at what he's doing? Is he a good sportsman? Definitely. Otherwise, he wouldn't be at the Tour de France, for example. Only the best of the best are here. That means that if you're coming to SIAL, you're one of the great players already. But is it enough to be good or to be great at what you're doing? In today's day and age and market, the winner takes all, much like in a competition. So you want to be not only ahead of the pack, there's a second hidden forces here at stake that you need to fight against. Did you guess what it is? Who are all those sportsmen competing against outside of every one of them? Well, yes, there's a clock. They're trying to beat the clock as well, like in every competition. Just take a look at those shows on TV about cooking. Well, all the cooks are very good, and there is a clock. Those are their two competitors. If you think about it, to perform better, you need to apply a certain amount of pressure. If you don't have enough pressure, and competition and time are those pressure, if you don't, you might stay in your comfort zone and your performance might be average. If you put too much pressure or you mismanage your time, for example, or you mismanage or you evaluate the competition, you might get into a panic zone. With what we're going to see today, you will be set for success and you will get into your efficiency zone. Now, how are we going to do it? Well, we use at Profitable Conventions, the company that I run, we use an exhibitor success, what we call the exhibitor success formula. There's a formula that we have developed over the years with thousands of exhibitors that we've worked with. Now, what does it look like? Pretty simple, 7 steps. The first one, assess. What do you assess? You assess your past performance. You assess your objectives. What is it that you want to achieve? Is trade show the right tool for that? Because there's plenty of tools and trade show is just one of them. And if trade shows are for you, which one is for you? There's 30,000 shows. You will not attend all of them. You need to make a selection. Next thing, You want a leader to emerge in your team because it's event management. It will not coordinate by itself, much like a classical music concert. You need a conductor. Third step, conceptualize. What is the concept that you're bringing? What's the experience that you're bringing to the show that will make you stand out? Next, you want to hone your skills. You want to prepare your team, marketing, sales, to be as sharp as possible for the coming show. The engagement phase, the trade show in itself. Next, maintaining those relationships that you have started or maintained and yield those results. The way we do it, we'll run through specific formulas if you want. But for today, because of the time that we have, we're going to simplify things. We're going to extract from the method specific techniques that are going to help you before, to prepare, during, and after. If you ask yourself, when should you do this? Then the way we do it normally, now we're close to the show, as 18 weeks to prepare, the week of the show, and then 33 weeks to complete the cycle of a year. What it actually looks like is like this. If you want, you can take a screenshot. And my advice will be for you to divide those numbers by 3, because at the time of recording, we're 6 weeks before the SIAL. Let's get started. Before, let's dive into LEAD, the assessment you should have done by now. What are good practices? Well, a first good practice will be to adapt your offer to the coming show. Every show has different requirements, different standards. You want to adapt to it. So how to do so? And why is it important? Because you want your experience to be as smooth as possible, not only for you and your team, but also for your potential customers. If you're comfortable, they will be comfortable. So how do you learn about all those specificities, much like you will learn about any appliance? Back in the days, in my time, it was a VCR. Today could be a phone, a tablet, a kitchen appliance. How do you learn how to use them? Well, simple. There's a manual. Is there a manual in a trade show? Yes, there is. For SIAL, there is such a thing called an exhibitor manual. You can have, here you have the online version. You have the PDF as well, most likely in your inbox. Check it out. A lot is in it. It's much like the Exhibitors Bible. Logistics, services, anything that has to do with having the best experience and being compliant to the requirement is in there. Give you an example. If you have a custom booth that you have designed or made design, then you need to submit this design to the SIAL team for them to approve it and to make sure that you respect the norms that are at stake in the Toronto Convention Center. Good practice again, make sure you're compliant. You'll have a very smooth experience. Otherwise, you might run into trouble and that might make you less efficient. Next, good practice will be to assess. What to assess? Local laws and regulations. Why is it important? Because that could make or break a show for an exhibitor. Let me give you an example. In Toronto, alcohol is restricted. There are restrictions around alcohol. Best practice will be to be aware of it. Same thing happens with food samples. There are restrictions around it. A good exhibitor will know this beforehand so as to know what to do, what not to do, what to bring, what not to bring to a show, and how to do it. Again, how would you know about it if you're not from Toronto? Well, again, refer to the Exhibitor's Manual. It's, again, a Bible. There's so much information in it. The best practice is to open it before you even start anything. Just let it sink in so you know exactly, and you save a lot of time and effort. That will lead you, for example, to a page where you can fill in the food safety for the Toronto Public Health Office. That will be linked inside your exhibitor's manual. refer to it. Another good practice is to wait in custom regulations. You see here probably the custom of the US. Well, why would you do so? Probably aware of the news, but there's some kind of tariff war at stake between Canada and the southern neighbors of the United States. If you're either an American exhibitor or a Canadian exhibitor that wants to get into the American market, you want to wait in those information to make sure that when a potential buyer comes to you at the show, you're able to not only answer their question, to make them an offer that integrates those parameters. How again? Exhibitor's manual. You have in there services, potential providers to help you assess what those regulations are. Make sure you refer to it. Last, definitely not the least, of a good practice in this leading phase of adapting your offer and what your company has to offer to the show that you're coming into is to shape. What is there to shape? To shape your offer. Why is it important? Because it's going to save you time and it's going to get you better results. An example, let's go for it. Last year, when I was at the SIAL in Montreal, I was exchanging with a company that was from Madagascar, the island, exporting into Canada honey. Now, it happens to be that the way the Canadian market is structured around honey is different than the way it's structured in Madagascar. It was unfortunate because in this case, they didn't know if they had to bring in gallons, if they had to bring it in their own packaging, if they had to adapt their packaging to potential requirements that they were not aware of in Canada. And they learned it the hard way on the show instead of having learned it before and be able to offer right away the right offer for the market. What happened to be, to finish the story, they learned that it was a 51 gallon container that was requested by their potential buyers, and the packaging will be done in Canada, which means that another objective that was only discovered at the show was like they were looking also for packagers. Now, let's do a little summary of what we've seen so far. So, who's in charge here? The team leader. Good practice to have a team leader. When? As soon as possible, because we're very close to the show, but this is otherwise very early in the process. Refer back to the previous picture. What should be done? Again, exhibitor's manual, definitely a go-to. Assess local laws, custom regulations, make sure that your product is a market fit, like that your products fits the market that you want to get into. A good practice as well is to bring, for example, a price sheet, some specifications, so you can discuss it with potential buyers. Think about labels. Canada is a bilingual country. If you're not from Canada and you might not be aware of it, every label has to be written both in English and in French. Let's continue onwards. Now this time we're going to stop at honing, which means upgrading your skills. One of the steps that we're going to do in this webinar is to step at the communication level, at basically the pre-show marketing campaign that you could run. We use for that a method that we call AIM. We're going to check the first letter, which is to announce. What do you announce? You announce your presence at the show. Why is it so important to announce your presence? You might think, hey, I'm here, they will see me. Well, a little bit more complicated than that. First of all, their eyes might be saturated, they might be limited in time. Could look like a maze if you don't have a map of a trade show hall. They might not find you. So you want to announce beforehand that you're going to be present at the show, so you generate already potential traffic to your booth that's going to help you get better results. Who do you announce it to? Well, common practice, good practice will be to divide people within 3 different groups. The first one, and you're going to see why there's a ring on the finger, are your existing clients, people you're already in relationship with, in business relationship with. Announce that you're coming, because on a show, as much as you want to capture new clients, which means they might be the client of someone else right now, some people might also be able to capture your clients and sell them what they have to sell. So you want to make sure that your clients know that you're here, don't think that you're absent or some kind of problem. Reach out to them. Your leads. You have probably established already a list of leads. It's time to reach out to them and tell them that you're going to be at the show, and maybe have a special offer for them. That could be an idea. It's good practice. The last one will be other contacts. Now, why would you want to care for other contacts? I'm going to show you in the next slide. Every company has its own galaxy that is represented here. You could be in touch with researchers if you have a high-end product, end users. You might not sell directly to them, but you will be interested in what they have to say. Partners, designers, buyers, distributors, influencers, officials, employees, potentially. You might want to recruit at a show. You can recruit at a show. Suppliers, investors, if you're growing. Press, media, that could give you a new expo, a new light onto your company. Now, every one of you will find in this what suits their business. There might be other ones that you want to add, but it's a little bit messy this way. So let's rearrange them. A good practice will be to have people you know and rank them by interest for you, for your business. Which one are, the golden clients that you have? Which one are, well, maybe a bit less interesting? The ones that are okay clients. That should be enough for a show already. 3 levels. People you don't know. Maybe you have leads that are what we call VIP leads, which means like people you have been trying to reach out for years and you haven't managed to get a hold of them. Maybe they're coming, reach out. Silver, bronze, you'll determine that. How to do it? Well, you could do it on your own with social networks, etc., but there's a much better way to do it, which is offered to SIAL exhibitors. It's called Snowball. It's a fantastic website and application to reach out, to send invitations. If you receive your badge, you're going to get invitations soon. I know Rachel, who founded the company, and met her years ago in Montreal. Fantastic person, fantastic team, fantastic experience you're going to have. Make sure you use it. Next thing you could do is, after you've done that, invite people to put the information regarding your company, your products, your team as well into the SIAL app. Why would you want to do so? Because visitors will look into it when they're preparing. Also, time is of the essence for them. When they're preparing their visit, they will scroll through the app and look who's here. They're going to have their short list of people they want to see, people they would be nice to see. You want to be on those lists to bring more traffic and bring more business into your company. Make sure you take a look at it. Last thing you could do, last tool, will be to register, for example, for those the buyers program of SIAL, which will help you have one-to-one meetings, probably with fantastic buyers that are coming to the show. In summary, your marketing or your sales team, depending how you organize, should do as soon as possible. Classify your targets by priority levels. Invite them to visit with Snowball. A common practice otherwise is to do it a month, a week, and a day before the show, like all those reminders. Another thing you could do is to fill the app with info about your company, your products, and your team. And of course, reach out to SIAL for their one-to-one buyers program. If it's of any interest to you, it could definitely help you. Well, let's continue. Now we're going to go to the phase of the show, during the show. What is good practice to be done on a show? The first thing we teach and that is good practice is to have a way to generate traffic towards your booth. You could be located somewhere in the hall where there might not be as traffic as you wanted. There's a way to compensate for that, to generate more traffic to your booth. Why is it important? Again, more traffic means more engagement, means more potential, more business. How would you generate that? Well, think of a show like a supermarket. If you think about it, alleys, products on the side, you circulate between them, you go about to decide which one you're going to pick. This is very much of a visitor's experience. Well, you have what we call in supermarkets like in-shop advertising. Well, the equivalent exists in trade show. I'll be here. I'll tell you about it in a second. So this is what it looks like in a supermarket, an experience we've all been through. You can even play with it. You could have samples in supermarkets. Well, can you have samples on a trade show? Yes, you can. Show you in a minute. Well, all this is to lead the potential customer in a supermarket setting, for example, towards the product that you want to sell. All this in-shop advertising is meant to lead them to you. It's the exact same principle on a trade show. How do you get to do this? Well, guess what? There's another document that you definitely should check. That's the sponsorship opportunities. Now, what are sponsorship opportunities on a show if you're not familiar with it? For example, if you take your sponsorship opportunity guide, page 8, you can maximize your visibility by way of conferences, for example, by something that is called Inspire Drink, Dairy, or SIAL to Go. We'll take a look at it, page 8. On page 16, you have possibility to buy, for example, those tote bags where you could have your logo, check which one of them will authorize you or allow you to have, for example, the location of your booth, because that will bring traffic. Instead of looking for you, they will know where to find you. Another tool that you could use that will definitely help you get more traffic to your booth is to participate in the innovation competition. If your company has a product that was created after the 1st of January 2024, you're entitled to participate in this competition. It's free. Again, it's going to give you more exposure. More exposure means more awareness. More awareness will create attraction, and you will get more traffic to your booth, most likely. Let's summarize this. Your marketing team, as soon as possible, will want to assess if and which sponsorship options will get you more foot traffic. Inserts, in-hall ads, SIAL Daily magazine as well, conferences, competition. Let's continue. We said we were doing, I'm going to take a little bit of a step back. Just in case you haven't done it, you can still do it at the show. But normally it's something that is being done beforehand at the conceptualizing the booth stage. So what is it about? Workout. What do you work out? You work out your booth space. You make sure that the space is the most welcoming as possible. Why is it important? Well, goes without saying, wouldn't you want your potential visitors to be comfortable coming into your booth? I'm sure you do. Best exhibitors do, and I'm sure you're part of them. So, unless you have a custom booth already made, which probably your designer has thought of this, if is good, make sure otherwise that he knows about those principles. Otherwise, if you haven't done this, you might have booked this kind of package, those starter kits for exhibitors. Well, there's a way to make them better, and you can do that on the show itself. Let me show you before, if you don't do it, what it could look like. Well, a lot of exhibitors will take what they've been given and stick with it. That means that if the desk is set this way, they will keep it this way. Another example, or another example here, which leads me to the slide that you just show, which gives a feeling that someone is behind a desk. Doesn't give you the feeling that you're welcome in a shop. It means there's a physical barrier, a non-verbal barrier, I would say, between you and potential buyers or existing clients. Well, the experience is kind of those experiences that we get at the post office or at the bank. It's better practice to give another kind of experience. Well, before that, let me show you another reason why it's important to take care of the disposition of your booth. Otherwise, as you can see in this picture, some exhibitors might be tempted to either step out of the booth and welcome potential buyers or clients outside. Nothing wrong with welcoming people, but couldn't there be a better way than to welcome people at the doorstep of your booth? If you think about it, people that are welcome at the doorstep and not letting in are not really buyers. They're mostly sellers, and sometimes we really don't want them to sell us anything. Or people that come for a delivery. Well, this is not an experience that a visitor will want to feel, and exhibitors that forget about it will give this kind of impression. The good practice will be to give another kind of experience, and you can do it very easily. It doesn't cost you a penny to do it. It's this picture. If you look on the left, if you look on the right, same kind of booth, same packages of booth. One has moved inwards the desk, which allows for circulation, which allows to welcome people in the same way you will welcome people in your house and not leave them at the doorstep. Another example here. Now, to summarize it, who should be in charge of this? Well, the team leader again. When? So, as I said, normally at the conception level, but if you've already started with it, you can still correct it on the booth. That's why I put it here during. What to do? Remove blocks to allow entry into your booth and make space for discussions. Let's continue onwards. Other good practice. So we said you can have traffic coming to your booth. You remove the barrier or the obstacle. Next, how to engage conversation with this traffic coming. Well, best practice and something that we teach is to use what we call in our jargon showstoppers. What are showstoppers? Are something that is going to make people stop and want to engage with you. I'm going to show you a video so you can see what it looks like. Every time you're going to see the red arrow, it's going to go very fast because it takes half a second. It has to take a half of a second to be done properly. Every time I engage conversation with someone, this is on behalf of one of my clients. I'm helping them on their booth. This is one of the things that we do as well. And you can see me engaging conversations, continuing, and again and again. Now, Germany, electronica show about electronics. You saw me stopping this lady. Here in Las Vegas, stopping this gentleman, stopping this one. Here, this gentleman as well. And as you're going to see, I'm building a relationship with him and just transfer him to the sales representative and continue onwards. Here, see the smile on her face. I'll explain why later. If you take a look at the one succeeding after her, you're going to see they all have a smile. Here, there, smile, just a flash. Here, a smile, there. Was an interesting customer for my client at the time in Philadelphia. So, what is showstopper? We're going to see in a minute. Why is it important? Because you've managed to get traffic to your booth. You want them to stop and engage conversation with you. You expect visitors to come and talk to you. You put the pressure on them. You want to release this tension by being proactive. We'll see that in a minute. So how do you do it? Well, it's a very complex matter. It's deep psychology. You have to engage with strangers. If you know about stranger danger, so how do you remove the danger? Well, you will create your own showstoppers. I'll give you a few ways to do it in a couple of seconds. But the mindset behind it is that if stranger danger, in this case, you want to be a stranger that is a potential friend. You want to be as friendly as possible. I'll show you a quick video of a company that we train. So you have here Julie and David. I was here on the booth, that's me filming. So I'm doing a slow motion in this case so you can see it. How they're gonna use a technique to have people stop. I'll explain later what this technique is. That's in Brussels at an Notarian convention. Well, what did they do here? You saw something nonverbal, you saw maybe some weird outlook. Well, all that it has to do with is, as I said, being friendly, in this case, being funny, using humor. They use those specific hats because they are known in the sector for notarians. This is how they, when they get their diploma, they all have those hats in France. For the matter, it's a Napoleon hat. So we thought that could be a good idea to bring some, and then we could use that. It's a cheap way. If you think about it, it's a very cheap way of engaging people efficiently. Now, listen to this. Some of you might be concerned, like, how am I going to do this? Is my team in the capacity to do it? First of all, you can train them into it. We train people to do this all the time, so you can train into it, but you will not be able to train a dog to do what a cat does or vice versa, which means you have to be selective of people you want to train into this if they don't know how to do it already. I'm going to give you a schematic here of who you should select. Some people in your team might be more of the proactive type, some might be more of the reactive or protective type. Some will be slow, some will be fast. There's nothing wrong with any of those categories, but for a show, especially to use showstoppers, you would definitely want to have someone who's more proactive. You don't want someone who's too slow, someone who's too fast. So not a turtle, not a snake, not a koala who will hold on to one person, not a rabbit that will go too fast. You want to have someone who will have the character, if I may say, of a golden retriever. Now you figure this out, who could be this in your team. Those are the people who are not only easier train into those techniques, but also more fond of it and probably already good at it. To summarize, your frontline booth teams, people who are going to be doing the engagement, like sometimes it could be everybody, sometimes it's people are more comfortable with that. During the show, use friendly openers, verbally and non-verbally. You can create it. It's a little bit of improvisation. Actually, it's not a little bit, it's improvisation. Someone will come early in the morning, say something about them coming early in the morning, that it will be friendly, funny, cocky, but just, make sure that you stay elegant in the way you do it. Let's continue now onwards with the engagement. You want to ignite those conversation. A way to do it is to have a pitch ready. Now, not this kind of pitch where people are static for minutes, sometimes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, because to cross a hole like this and have everybody pitch you what they do for 2 or 3 minutes will take you ages to cross a hole. And you might smile if you're a visitor, but this is how you might feel after a few pitches, or your head might look like this. So you want to use instead a much more efficient way of pitching, which is what is known as an elevator pitch. Let me take you through it. A good elevator pitch will have those components. It speaks about who could be your potential customer. I'll give you an example in a minute. What do you do and why should they consider your offer? Now, if you can start crafting with that, let me give you like a few more hints of how to make it pitch perfect. Have it short. Time is of the essence here. You don't want to spend 5 minutes explaining what your business does. You can do if you can do it in 15 seconds, 20 seconds. Be very clear. Avoid jargon as possible because it confuses the mind when people don't understand what someone is talking about. The benefits, talk about benefits in a pitch. It's good practice instead of specification, features. I want to know what's in it for me. That's the benefit. If it can be quantifiable, it's even better because the brain can make a picture of something that they can quantify. Think of the universe. It's ever extending. The brain cannot grasp this. But if I tell you, a car, you can conceptualize it. It's easy for you to figure it out. Last, definitely not least, one of our tips, if you can encompass in your pitch the fact that you're surely going to give more gain. You're going to bring something positive, but you might also remove something negative. Some people are drawn towards things. Some people want to get away from something else. That's your chance to shine. I'll give you a 15 seconds one. Looking at the clock, you can open your stop clock. Let me get started. We work with exhibitors who go to trade shows to improve, to develop their business. How we do it, we teach them the methodology, the strategies, and the techniques to triple their result and lower their costs by 20%. There, 20 seconds approx. Short, it's clear, no jargon. The benefits are clear, triple your result, lower your cost of participation, which leads me to the less pain and more gain. Who, exhibitors, what, teaching methodology, strategies and techniques, why, to improve, to develop your business. Let's continue onwards. Last stop, you can take a picture of it, just summarize what I've just said. Once you've done your pitch, for example, and people know, so why to do a pitch? Because people are curious of what you do. They will ask you the question, what is it that you do? Next, how to catch a fish. There's ways to catch it. If you want to harpoon it, which will be the equivalent in sales to giving arguments about why they should buy you, the features, all kind of thing they're going to throw their way, not knowing exactly which one will land properly. Here's a better way to do it. Use a hook. Let me show you more precisely. For Spanish speakers, this might start to look like something that they know. If I remove this, yes, you turn it around, it's a question mark. What are those questions? Well, questions about the buyer's journey. People who are coming, visitors coming on a show are on a buyer's journey. They're here because they want to see what's out there, potentially what they could buy, what they could improve. How does a buyer journey work? This is something that we've created a couple of years ago when I received a package from Amazon, but it's a long story. I'm not going to tell you today. Here are the steps. Are they conscious of the need and the problem? Nobody buys anything that they don't need. Nobody's conscious until they're conscious of something. Think of a simple example. You want to change your toothbrush. When do you do it? When you realize it's used, maybe you have an alarm on your agenda that says change it every 3 months. You become conscious of it. That's the alarm. Nobody eats unless they're hungry, right? Next, you want to assess if they're aware of their problem. Maybe they're looking for information. Maybe they're looking for a solution. What kind of information could you provide them? That's a good question to ask. They might be comparing, evaluating, which means there's a criteria for evaluation. Why don't you ask what could be those criteria? That's good practice. Next, maybe they're making a choice. A good practice will be to ask them how do they make this choice? Like, is it the means of payment? Is somebody else implicated in this decision and in the buying process in their company? So you want to encompass everybody who could be a buyer in the company. You don't want to leave them out because they might prevent you from making a sale. They've just bought. What made them decide to buy? What is it that convinced them? That's precious information to capture. We'll talk about it in a minute. Are they waiting delivery? Could you provide them with another product in the meantime? That could save them if the delivery takes more time than expected. Definitely your way into a market. Ask those questions. Using a product or a service. Are they using a product or a service? Good practice will be to assess what are they using, how are they using it, what can you learn from it, very precious information again. Last, definitely not the least, if they are using something for a long time, are they happy about it? What is their satisfaction level? That might be your chance into it. If they're not happy, maybe some features they're missing, you go back to the awareness. Are they aware of features, for example, that your products or your services have? Summarize. Everyone on your team should be prepared before and to use those questions related to a user or a buyer's journey during the show. We're getting close to the end. We're going to look at what you could do after. Two main points we're going to see to maintain those relationships. The first one is to prioritize. What do I mean by prioritize? Well, you're coming back from a show. Your job might feel like this. You have all those emails you haven't answered for days. You might feel overwhelmed. You might be tempted to push aside your follow-ups. That is not a good practice. Good practice will be to prioritize it. Who should be involved? Well, people in charge of follow-ups. You set it up for your team, set objectives. So if you have set objectives before the show, you have checked during that these people will deserve a quick follow-up, maybe sometimes within the show. You meet them on Monday, you follow up the Monday night, they come back to your booth on Tuesday, here's the deal. That's a good practice to have. So what to do, of course, let people know when you come back to the office that you're going to be busy with the follow-ups. Make sure you leave the space for it. Well, organize your follow-ups. A good practice is to have a priority score and follow up at the right time. This will be the specific of your company, of your market, depending. People want to be reach out right away, not right away. That's something that you will need to assess at the show. Last step on your way to better efficiency, exploit. What do you want to exploit in this maintaining phase? You see in the picture, you have some pistachio flavor, pistachio extract, basically whatever lemons you're going to collect at the show to give you an image. Make a lemonade out of it. How can you exploit what potential customers told you? How can you exploit people who were maybe former clients who are not clients anymore? What can they tell you about your product or service? Maybe someone who was never aware of. Ask, how do you find my booth? Like, is it appealing to you? Does it make sense? You can this way revisit your marketing for next time. Exploit. Also, you could use knowledge for improving your R&D. So all this that is collected, a model that you could use that is used in information science. It's when you have data, so in this case, it's mostly information that you're going to collect. If this information is collected properly, it turns into knowledge. Now, this knowledge is precious if you turn it into wisdom. Wisdom meaning insights, insight that will help you determine what to do next, what not to do maybe. Those are very precious information. Now, we're getting soon to the end. Another reminder, summary. Anyone with authority, you want to have someone with authority to give this feedback. Otherwise, it might fall in deaf ears. As soon as possible after the show, you want to go back to business and you want to use this knowledge that is gained. So during this show and turn it into those actionable insights for, you name it, R&D, training, sales, marketing. It was a pleasure to do this webinar for you today. I hope you get a lot of value out of it. For some of you, maybe those advice are useful today. Maybe you want, maybe you have more questions about it. Maybe you want to have them tailored to your company. Maybe as well you want to explore more in depth for your shows the method that I showed you at the beginning. Well, I have a good surprise for you, or a present for you, let's say. If you have more questions regarding the material that was discussed, if you have questions about the method, if you want to have more tailored advices, I'm happy to offer you a 20-minute Q&A call directly with me about your specific shows, about your specific companies, because advice can be very generic in those webinars, but you might want to tailor them to your specific needs. Either way, I will be more than happy to meet you at the SIAL, and it was a pleasure to be here with you today. So see you at the show. Thank you.